Enrique is the head of business development for Holidu for the EMA. And Holidu has been working with Avantio for a while, almost about 7 years. Holidu, from a metasearch to an OTA, what is the road ahead?
So you very well put it, Cesar. We started as a metasearch. So for those who don't know what a metasearch is, basically it's a price comparison tool in which we show the best price for the same property, and then you get basically redirected to a partner's website, and the booking finally ends up being done in the partner's website and not in Holidu. But as we moved ahead, we were seeing that this is not really making everything easy. Yes, you're getting the best price, but this does not really mean that it's an easy thing to do in order to get the booking, because it can be a little bit confusing to get redirected to a different website and finalize it there. Sometimes people go like, yeah, but I was in Holidu and now I'm suddenly in booking.com, or even sometimes in a very little aggregator in, I don't know, in Ireland or Switzerland, exactly. So people were a little bit sometimes even frustrated, so happy to get the best price, but also we figured out that sometimes also the funnel in the partner website was a little bit odd and not super easy to finalize, so they were seeing some frustrations. So the obvious questions that we saw is okay, what if we build our own funnel? What if we get all of these properties that we currently have, or millions and millions of properties, and we switch from a redirection model to an instantly booking model in our website, meaning that everything happens in a website, we know which properties are getting booked, and then basically working on a CPA model, getting a commission, and then we saw that with this model, the customer satisfaction was way higher. And as we have been building on our solution more and more and more, we have a team of over 80 people just focused on making the product better and the guest experience even better. We've seen that our conversion rates starts to go up, the satisfaction rates starts to go up, our revenue starts to go up, and more important than anything, the property managers working via Avantio are seeing a much higher revenue coming from Holidu. In the last 2-3 years, you've seen the explosion in bookings that we've had since 2019. And this also brings, we have two customers. So we have the traveler, and we also have the property manager. And we've also seen, we measure this every year, we've seen and also that the net performing score given by the agencies or the property managers or the aggregators that work with us has also been improving, because we are being able to give them way more bookings than in the past. And it's mainly because of this switch that you just mentioned from being a metasearch to a more traditional OTA, so to say.
So you continue, let's say, can you tell us that the guests that were going to Holidu, they continue coming, and they understood the change?
Absolutely. And also the change didn't happen from one day to another. It's not that we sort of switched from being a metasearch to open the gate and suddenly we are an OTA. This has taken years and years and years, and this has allowed also the traveler to really understand what's going on and how the transition has been done, which has been quite positive. And another thing that is quite relevant is that we are still somehow a metasearch. You can still find booking.com and Vervo's search results in our website, and we're still showing the guest the best possible price out there. So yes, we are an OTA, but still people are getting the guarantee that they are actually getting the best price.
Wonderful. So I guess if I'm a guest, I'm looking on your website, the type of property I'm looking for. So I'm not, even if you redirect me to booking.com, they might have some other features, Are you aware of this? Let's say a guest who is looking on Holidu, he's already searching for a specific house. For example, I want a house with a pool. And so, of course, if I want a house with pool, I will go to the filter and already filter it by looking only for property with the pool. Are you aware, is Holidu aware that, all right, these, of course, this I think this change from, metasearch OTA, are you aware that all this filtering, all this feature that they're used to look at on OTAs, you're implementing in Holidu as well?
Absolutely. We started with the most basic filters. So you were mentioning pool, but also then, of course, air conditioned, pet friendly. And as we have a team of 70 people just making the funnel better, we also have a team of around 25 people just making the user experience after the search result better and better. And this means that we are mapping amenities every single week. With you guys, we've been working with your technical team to include more and more amenities so the filters can become even better. And what's the best example than the sustainability factor? So we've seen in the last few years that sustainability went from something almost inexistent and not important in our industry to something so relevant that basically almost the last 3 or 4 conventions and summits that I've been to, sustainability has been the key piece of information that everyone is talking about, and most of the presentations are actually based on this. So we also saw that, and we engineered basically based on all the amenities that you were mentioning, a particular filter and a particular badge to show the guest which are the properties that have the most sustainable amenities. So to say, for instance, that there is water regulation, so there's no water being spoiled, basically. And also, which has the most electrical efficiency or energy efficient appliances, or which ones are the ones that are doing recycling, or has a bicycle in the property so you can move around sustainably. And when we've been grouping this and we've sort of like put an algorithm in place, we're putting this basically eco badge in those properties that comply. We've seen that this is a filter that in the very beginning, or this is a feature that in the very beginning was not super important, but it has become super important. And we've seen also people clicking more on the properties that have this badge. So we're constantly identifying new features, new filters, new amenities, new things that are basically becoming the trend in the industry, and we apply them. And of course, if this is what the customer wants, of course, it's going to have a positive result.
Good. So that's another important thing. So you most got the data, right? Because I believe all the guests who are looking on your website, they're looking. I mean, I think guests has changed after the pandemic. So they're looking for some specific things that they were not really worrying about in the past. So now, do you think really the guests after pandemic has changed?
Absolutely. I think that our industry made a huge switch before and after the pandemic, and there are many things. So for instance, we've seen that the average length of stay has started to increase. So this means, and also we've seen that people are not traveling in the same dates that before. So what we used to consider the highest peak in the year, it actually shift a little bit, and it's not the same. So let's go back to the idea of the average length of stay. So we went from less than a week to over a week now, and it's constantly growing. And when you combine this data with when people are staying, you see that people are staying longer because they're doing workation. And also the times that people were using Wi-Fi filter also increased to double or triple since the beginning of the pandemic. So people changed the way they're using vacation rentals. They are not just going there to spend a couple of days or to do like a little bit escapade with a partner, but it's also now becoming more and more interesting for people, like as they call it now, the digital nomads, that they just say, yeah, I'm going to rent my property in Airbnb or whatever for a couple of days. I'm going to become a host, and with that money, I'm going to work from Santorini for a whole week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or a month, and sometimes even more. So this is something that has definitely changed. And also, during the pandemic, we saw that people were very interested in cleaning, how well done the cleaning was done, how sanitized was the property, because they were a little bit scared about or concerned about the virus. Right now, this is suddenly sort of like decreasing, not fully. But we totally see that things are definitely changing. And also, we've seen that the adoption of vacation rentals per se is never going to be the same as before. We know that cruises have shrunk their participation in the global tourism industry significantly. We've seen also that resorts are not having the same sort of demand. People are switching a little bit from the traditional to more the short-term rental. And as a matter of fact, I was presenting in Porto last week that 43% of the people that stayed in 2020 and 2021 in a vacation rental, they were doing it for the first time. So there's a lot of people that adopted or that tried the vacation for the first time during the pandemic. And of these people, 75% of them said that they were going to use again a vacation rental in the next 5 years for their accommodation.
Interesting. Have you all noticed this? I mean, I ask you now, have you noticed that the guest has changed from 2 years ago to the ones nowadays? Have you noticed? Because I can note that our different travelers, you said they're nomads now, nomads that they were not really going to work, they were going on leisure, they were maybe their boyfriend or girlfriend, they were going for a travel for a couple of days or week maybe when it's abroad. So I think there is definitely a change. So Holidu is working on this. What is Holidu doing for this? Let's say now you have detected the differences, the different guesses that. Are you guys working to make the different traveler feel more comfortable on like when searching for a property?
Absolutely, and our team is constantly working and testing. So we do A/B testings in parallel in our website in order to maximize the value of that click that we got somewhere to come to Holidu in order to perform a search and eventually to book a house. So we're constantly testing what are the main features. We also have seen, for example, to just give you one concrete example, we've seen in the last 18 months that there's one filter that has grown more than anyone else. Have you got any idea? Do you want to take a guess?
Pet allowed?
Pet friendly. That's exactly it. This is something that just boomed. So people suddenly realized that they don't need to take a plane 7 hours or 8 hours to go to Thailand or the Maldives or Qatar or Saudi Arabia, whatever. No, they can also take their cars, drive 6, 7, 8 hours, if not more. They can take their member of the family, which is their pets, and spend a nice time in a home away from home. I have a pet. I know the burden that it means every time that I go on holidays, not knowing who my pet is going to stay with. So I typically have to ask around family or friends or sometimes even acquaintances that I don't know exactly how they are going to treat my pet. I have to ask them, hey, could you take care of my pet, because I cannot take my pet to Greece. I'm flying to Greece. And the moment that we started to a little bit experiment with, okay, let's travel with our pet, we saw, okay, our lab is just much nicer because she's there. And also, we don't have the burden of, we need to ask someone, and we don't know how they are treating her, or if our pet is happy or not. And I'm not alone. There's millions of people that also own a pet, and that have the same thing. I have a kid, and our dog is another member, but you have to also remember that the composition of the family in Europe in particular has also been changing. The number of couples having kids has decreased significantly, and the adoption of dogs and cats and rabbits or whatever has been increasing significantly. So this is also something that we've seen, and this has been one of the biggest changes. And of course, everything now is a little bit more friendly for the traveler to find the property that accept the right kind of pet in their residence. Yes.
Okay, so well, we got pets. So now you know if you rent your house or an apartment, remember to allow pets. All right, maybe be a bird, maybe be a tiger. We never know, but
yeah,
hopefully not a tiger. But the idea is, yeah, there's, I guess, family are traveling, and the pets is part of their family, so it's necessary to make them comfortable. As well, I guess, some amenities in the house. Before, they were traveling, they're not really caring, I guess, for cooking. No, maybe cooking is something that they're not really caring. They want to go out, go in a restaurant and enjoy the day. But now they're traveling with a bunch of people now. Maybe they got together, like 2 families in the house. So do you think it's important? What would you tell us? I mean, I believe amenity is something, you know, you property managers have to really care about, like making sure your kitchen is fully equipped, not equipped, it's fully equipped. You know, because they're really looking to cook at home. They're really looking to have this, you know, home life they used to have when they're home, but traveling now. So now, could you tell us what are 5 amenities that are main requested, like when they're traveling? So you use a metasearch or as an OTA, you get this data. Can you share with us?
So the queen is still pool. That's number 1. It still will be for a while. Especially depending where you are, but since Holidu has a big focus on beach destinations, air conditioned is the second one. The third one, in general, and this has been one of the ones growing more, it's Wi-Fi. Then it's pet friendly.
Working Wi-Fi, right? Sometimes we have a Wi-Fi, but it doesn't
really
work.
Exactly. It needs to work.
Important, yeah.
And I have an anecdote to make here. I took my family in June to a vacation rental, and I specifically contacted the property manager saying, like, does the Wi-Fi really work? I'm taking my family, but I'm going to work from there 4 weeks. I said, yeah, it's fully functional, whatever. I got into the property, literally connect, and I couldn't even have a hangout conversation with my team because it was almost impossible. I ended up calling my internet provider from Germany in my phone, and I had to share my data on my computer. Thankfully, I have been customer for such a long time that actually they didn't charge me that much more. But this was a burden, and of course it was a problem, and it really decreased my level of satisfaction with the house. Even though the house was amazing, it was fully equipped in the kitchen, super nice pool, air conditioning, it worked amazing. But this particular thing really kind of ruined a little bit the experience.
Where was it?
In Catalonia, basically in Cambrils, so very close to.
So you Spanish, you know, they have properties. I guess we have a lot of, like, you know, in Spain is a big tourist country. We understand it. So of course, I think property manager here in Spain are quite used to, you know, understanding or, you know, arranging these missing things in the property. But what I mean, Holidu is in Europe. In many other countries, I guess, not only in Europe, right? Can you tell us where exactly is Holidu right now operating?
So Holidu as a whole, we have different companies we've been acquiring. We have done quite some M&As. So right now we need to speak as Holidu the OTA, and also Holidu sort of like this agency as well that is constantly talking to homeowners particularly. So both parts combined, we are working in almost every single part in Europe that has either beach or ski destinations. But our focus is basically put in, starting from the south, west, so it's Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Croatia, Greece, Cyprus, Malta, basically all the Mediterranean, and then jumping up to a little bit more to the north, everything that has ski destinations and also tourist attractions such as Switzerland, Austria, Germany, the Netherlands, the UK, Ireland, Belgium, and there are a couple of markets that are growing for us in a very nice organic way, such as Poland, Saudi Arabia, sorry, not Saudi Arabia, the Abu Dhabi and the Emirates.
Emirates.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, not. Sorry about that. And also Mexico started to become a little bit more interesting for us, even though we are still not putting any efforts to grow those, because we really want to make sure that we have a position that we can defend in Europe first. And we have such important partners like Avantio that have basically almost the same focus as us. So we are holding hands very. Yeah.
Right.
So in this, we share almost the same markets as you do.
Wonderful.
And we also have a little bit interest in the US, but we are waiting until we can make that particular move.
Perfect. I would ask you guys if you have any questions. There's like 10 minutes Q&A. We're not so many. So if you're free, you can ask, all right? If you don't have any questions, we will just continue over here because I have some more questions.
Yeah, for sure. Or also you can find me upstairs or
Right.
at lunch or later on.
Exactly.
It's totally fine.
All right, just to summarize what we have been talking is, the idea here today was to understand the process of changing from a metasearch to an OTA. So you have been a company, seeing this process, and I believe one of the other main important thing is the payment, like who's managing the payment. So now there's also a transformation in the market that you can see payment is being changing as well. Could you tell us, so what is next? So Holidu now, being an OTA, so what is the main point? What is next?
So the next stage, and we already started early this year, is Holidu Payments. So we are currently managing the payments for European countries, so everything that has the euro as a currency. And we're moving towards more currencies in the future as well. But basically, to have a broader image of what this means is basically accompanying the traveler through almost all of their journey. So there's a typical saying that it's like inspiration, booking process, payment, and then review. So come back to and remember. And I think it's just much more. So it's not just that, it's much more. And we started with just the searching. And then we said, okay, searching plus booking. Now it's searching, booking, payment, reviews. So basically, the future, the way I envision it, I think that the company shares the same vision, is to really try to accompany the traveler as much as we can, not only to make them remember, but also to repeat and really hold hands with them in order to really finally make searching, booking, and the whole experience of vacation rentals much easier. Awesome.
This is a tough change, I guess, for you, because you're mainly focused on getting the right price for the guest. You developed an amazing algorithm to make that happen. Mm-hmm. What was unique in the market at the time, I remember it. But now your focus now is mainly, of course, follow the big ones who has been doing this for a while, creating loyalty, with their customers. And that's the big change. So Holidu now has become an OTA. You have lots of properties, lots of inventory. So now you can drive more guests to the property managers, not like sending the guests to OTAs up there. What is incredible. So I believe the hard work is about to start, is creating all these possibilities to the guests and the property managers. Fantastic. All right. So my last question is, just to wrap up, I guess, this is part of something that you're also thinking of expanding worldwide when you come an OTA, or it's just you want to still concentrate like to the main markets and then take the challenge of going worldwide?
So, as I said previously, our next step is to consolidate in more markets in Europe. So right now we have quite a solid position in the markets that are surrounding the Mediterranean and has ski destinations, and also a little bit the Baltic Sea. So now the idea is to keep on growing. As I mentioned, there are markets that are becoming more and more interesting, as I said, Poland and also some parts of Middle East, East Europe as well. There are countries that we have not touched, like Macedonia, that also are quite interesting in the Adriatic part. So definitely that's sort of like the most immediate kind of challenge is go and tap into these markets a little bit more, where we probably have just a marginal share of the market, and also consolidate the current ones that we know that we have already achieved a quite meaningful portion of the market. And in some cases, some even matching the top players in the industry. So for instance, Mallorca is one of our biggest destinations because we're a German company and we all know that Germans just love Mallorca. And we managed to get instantly booking inventory in Mallorca to actually reach more than 25% of the whole market share. And I've been talking to different channel managers and I asked them, okay, how are we doing in Mallorca? Oh, no, you're number one. So the idea is to capture more markets similarly as we did with Mallorca by getting all of the inventory to become instantly bookable. So we don't really need to send any traffic to Booking or Vrbo. So people can actually find properties in Holidu without needing to be redirected. And right now, with, as I said, with Mallorca, the level of redirection is below 10%.
And that's the thing. So you're big one or number one in Mallorca because your guests is mainly folks that were German, right? So now I guess you're also focusing in marketing more different type of guests, right?
Absolutely. To give you just one example, when I joined the company early 2018, it's going to be 5 years already, I cannot believe it. Yeah, it was mainly Mallorca, Balearic Islands, some parts in Germany where we were quite strong, but we were still quite small, right? So Holidu is one of the top 10 fastest growing startups in the tourism sector in the world. And I've seen the change. So when I was talking to some property manager in Catalonia, for instance, very early 2018, they didn't even know who we were. It's like, yeah, I'm calling you from Holidu. Holidu what? So like, yeah, tell me more. And then suddenly we started to build our inventory. And right now, Catalonia, for us, it means a huge portion of our bookings because we follow the same trend as we did. Like we follow the same path. We said, okay, we're going to grow Mallorca in order to reach a position of leadership, and then we're going to start replicating this model into, if it works, we're going to replicate it in other markets. And it worked. So we decided, okay, now let's replicate somewhere else. And we went slice by slice. We went first to Costa Blanca, for instance, and then we said, okay, Costa de Valencia, and then let's go to Andalusia. And we started building and building and building and building, and right now, Spain is our second biggest market after Germany. And we have already started doing the same in France, in Italy, in a very successful way. We grew the team from just a handful of people to over 15 people just on the sales part. So yeah, there are still some challenges, and we are very sure where to put our little pieces in the board in order to achieve it.
Wonderful. So I believe next time we get here, you're gonna not only talking about the Mallorca customers, we might be talking about some other customers, and that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Enrique.
You're welcome.
I think Holidu is doing a great job, so thank you very much. And